I guess I don't know. I probably all this stuff should be saved. It says that the aides were in charge of figuring out what should be saved and what should not be saved. Oh, the Presidential Records Act. There you go. Yeah, I don't know. I just saw that headline. I just saw that headline come up, and I thought that was interesting. That they were burning documents.
Whoa! USA disqualified after skating review. I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, of course. The U.S. disqualified, allowing China, the hosts, to win. Because there's nothing, corrupt about China.
Why did they get disqualified?
Well, let's find out.
Oh.
Team USA Speed Skating believed it just punched its ticket to the short track speed skating mixed team relay finals. Jesus, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Till it went under review, they were penalized and disqualified. Why? It was determined the Chinese team was impeded twice during the event. Both Russia and Team USA were disqualified, allowing China to advance to the final. Okay. Well, I'm not going to... all right. I know that...
Interesting. Okay.
Did you see this about how Russia is participating in the Olympics?
No.
So, after what happened last time, Russia got banned from
for the roid stuff.
Yeah. So, so they got banned for the steroid stuff, and then so now their athletes were all being penalized. Like the ones that were caught for sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're not able to participate, and Russia as a country can't participate.
The athletes that Russia told to take
but the athletes who didn't get caught, or whatever, are participating as the Russian Olympic Committee.
Oh.
So there's still Russians. They have a slightly different name.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
The Russian Olympic Committee.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. ROC.
And our women's ice hockey team just spanked the hell out of them. 5-0.
Do we have a good women's ice hockey?
Hell yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I know a couple of girls.
That's cool.
Yeah. Unfortunately, one of their good players that from Shattuck St. Mary's, Brianna Decker, broke her leg in the first game.
Oh.
So she'll be out for the Olympics. And but Amanda Kessel's still there. Over on the Canadian side, they've got Blair Turnbull, which was another one of ours, and a couple younger guys, because the NHL is not participating. So a lot of college players. So there are a couple of Shattuck guys that are college level that were there after I left.
And that's the way it used to be, like back during that movie. Like when they were in Lake Placid and went against Russia, that was all college kids, right? It wasn't NHL guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was way back 1980.
Yeah, 83, right? Or 84?
19.
Or was it 80 on? It was 80 on the dot, really?
1980.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know it was on the dot. So that's cool. I talked to a guy that told me he had tickets to go see it. And he's like, "Oh, I got better things."
In China?
Do. No, the one in Lake Placid.
Oh, are you shitting me?
When they're in Lake Placid. And he's like, "Yeah, I got better things to do." He said that the U.S. team just got slapped by somebody like the game before. And he's like, "I'm not going to go watch them get destroyed." And he's like, "Man, what a mistake. What a mistake not going to that."
Oh, my God. Yeah, because they got beat by like Canada, I think.
Yeah, he said somebody just slapped the hell out of them.
They got beat by Canada, and then they beat Russia.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Well, and then on a different topic, I don't know. Anyway, I'm thinking about getting the Peacock subscription. One of my friends said that they got it so they could watch the Olympics.
Yeah, that's what I've been watching. It would.
Cool. I haven't gotten to see any of it, so
you don't even have to subscribe.
Really?
It's free.
Are you kidding me?
You just gotta watch ads.
Oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
How much does it cost not to watch ads? Like $8?
I don't remember.
I think I can handle $8 to not watch ads.
The only reason I got it was for The Office, because you can watch The Office.
Really?
As many times as you want.
For free?
That's not for free. That's the only
Oh,
reason I
okay.
paid for
All right.
Peacock. So,
And well, I guess let's see, what's Peacock cost? Peacock
Mary and I made the comparison of Dwight
Premium.
Schrute and Phil Rahr.
God damn it.
There you go. Yeah, the $5, I think.
Okay, so $5, and then it's $10 to do it without ads.
Yeah. Actually, it's not
but some of them still have ads.
Right. And you can still watch like the first 3 seasons of The Office for free, and you can watch the Olympics for free. And
you can watch the Olympics for free on Peacock?
Pretty sure.
Interesting.
Pretty cool, but it's the only place that has the
Winter
Office.
Olympics. So. Get premium.
Oh, no, maybe you do have to watch it.
Watch free. Let's see if we can pull up, just so we can get deplatformed immediately. No, I still have to I have to make an account either way.
No, hey, Peacock's probably happy. They're like, yeah, give us.
Are you kidding me?
Give us that advertisement.
If they're getting paid for it, and if you can hear like more than 9 seconds of it, they're gonna take us right off of YouTube.
Oh, there you go.
So fast. Okay. Unlike how fast they took like 81 episodes of Joe Rogan's podcast off of Spotify.
When did that happen?
Like last night, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let me see if I can figure that out. I saw something about it that they were pulling. Spotify quietly removes 113 episodes. All right, Spotify, don't listen to our podcast. Because we talk about all sorts of different stuff. I'm sure that somewhere in there.
Why do you think people don't like him, like Joe Rogan? Like what does he? What does he
11
do?
million listeners.
I know a lot of people like him, but like the hardcore people.
No, they hate him because he has 11 million listeners.
That's why.
And because he doesn't stick to a certain line. He's got a few things. Like he's pretty much been on his own side as far as like the things that he thinks.
Yeah.
Regarding like the ivermectin and like all those kinds of things, which they don't like. But the fact that he gets like 20 times as many listeners as CNN primetime, I think really bothers the mainstream media. So they just go after him, despite the fact that,
Why don't they go after Fox News destroying CNN in views? I mean,
they do.
Yeah, I guess
they do. But it's a network, so
it's tougher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because I actually looked at that because I was watching. My dad's always got Fox News on, so I walk in and they're talking about how they're destroying CNN in views, and I was like, what are the views? Like, how do you tell? And I looked, and it looks like, whoa, CNN's views are low.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that. But what they'll do is, if it gets low, they'll probably just sell and then go again as something else, right? That's usually what they do. Companies are doing that bad. Well,
CNN's been around for an awful long time. Yeah. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think that I don't think they're all that much lower. They might be down, but all they have to do is start selling a little bit more fear. COVID's not selling as well right now. That's why you're starting to see more racism and more. Well, and this is my theory, so don't deplatform me. But my theory is that you're going to see a lot more racism in the news, and you're going to see a lot more war in the news coming up. I think that they really want, like I said, this is my opinions. This is not. I really think that CNN would love for Russia to invade the Ukraine and for us to get involved.
Jeez, wow!
Because that American soldiers being put in harm's way sells like hell.
Do you remember before news channels got super political? Like okay, maybe it happened, but I don't remember. But CNN was on every channel, everywhere you went. Like if people were watching news, it felt like CNN was on. Like when I'm talking way younger, I'm talking like almost 15 years ago.
long time ago.
15, 20 years ago. It was like everywhere I went as a kid. I remember the McDonald's had CNN on. Just like, it was like a thing in regular stores you went into and
It was like
things like that.
it was
So,
one of the first 24-hour news channels.
yeah.
Like when I was a kid, I liked to watch the news because I was a weird kid. CNN was like maybe the only news channel that I could get that was 24 hours.
Yeah.
That you knew it was going to be news all the time. And it'd be the same thing. So like it'd be the same thing every half hour, kind of like Sports Center. It's like you watch it once and you could see it all, and maybe they add something in later and update it. But like CNN headline news, those kinds of things were it as far as being able to watch news all day. And then Fox News kind of jumped in there as another 24-hour news network. And we've got like CNN, CBS, MSNBC, Fox News. Like they're probably those four are the big 24-hour news networks.
I remember when anything bad would happen, when there was like when the Sandy Hook school shooting happened, like I turned on CNN just thinking, because like they're gonna have the news.
Right.
When the Boston bombing happened, I turned on CNN. And now that everything's so political, I'm like, I don't want to give anyone my view or money. Like, I'll just go find some regular generic like thing to watch it on. So.
Jesse, the Weather Channel is sensational now. Like the Weather Channel has been sensationalized. Everything that they've figured it out. They've hacked the human mind to make it so that they get just locked into these things, and they especially want to make sure that like the Weather Channel, they're like, oh my God, it's going to be a bomb cyclone and like that kind of stuff. But then even you go to CNN and they not only want to make sure that you're locked into what they're talking about and so they can influence it, but they also want to make sure that you think that the opposing viewpoint is like evil, so that you're even more locked in. And that's not a good way to be.
Yeah.
But
why do you think Fox is upticking and CNN's down ticking? It's not a difference in views, like political views, is it? Or what do you think?
It's partially that, and it's partially that they are they're better at putting on a show.
Yeah.
Like they know that they're entertainment. Like they don't claim, Fox News doesn't, despite the word news being in their name, they don't claim that everything they do is news. In fact, they'll dispute the fact that most of what they do is news. Most of what they do is entertainment.
Interesting.
CNN, I think, claims that more of what they do is news.
Yeah.
But then they have those opinion shows.
Yeah. I know they got smacked by that one lawsuit. That's the only thing that I could correlate.
From Sandman?
Yeah, from that kid. What that was no one even knows how much money he got.
No.
It never even came out, but I'm sure it was a lot of money. So,
you bet your ass. How much is the Rittinghouse kid gonna get?
Oh, dude, you think he's got a case against CNN?
I think that I hope so. I hope so, because I know that they've got ways that they'll try to get out of it, and they've got ways to do what they do and get away with it.
Yeah.
But I really hope that they have to rethink how they report.
Because they did call him a racist, right?
I don't know if they outright, maybe some of them outright called him a racist.
I think they did.
I don't know for sure. I know that one thing that they did do is they just pumped up the misinformation, and they let people get on and talk and say stuff that didn't happen. And that's not what the news should be. The news should be, here's what we know.
This is the news.
This is what we know. Not this is what, I don't know. It's pretty.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I didn't know it came out.
It's estimated.
Oh, Dan, Kyle is, that Rittenhouse kid is suing them?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
That.
No, yes.
Whoa.
Yes. Not just CNN, but the different news organizations that put out a lot of false information about him and tried to influence his case, especially.
So not Fox, obviously, because Tucker Carlson had him on, or is he suing them too for something?
I don't think he's suing them.
No. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder. So with the Sandman thing, or what was his name? Is that
Nick Sandman?
Sandman.
Sandman.
If they thought they were doing the right thing and they thought they were reporting it right, they're still liable.
There's,
because I'm sure they thought. I mean,
I don't think that they thought they were doing the right thing.
Oh no! So they really blew that out.
And here's why. It's not just there's more to it than just believing that what you see is true.
Yeah.
Like, journalists are supposed to confirm. Journalists are supposed to actually go and find out what happened and make sure that what they see is what's real. And there were other videos that were available to them at the time that they were doing that reporting. They're so worried about being first to report something and blowing it up big enough that they get views, right, that they don't take the time to make sure that what they're reporting is true.
Yeah.
And I think even, I don't know, I mean, when I watched that video, even when I saw the Nick Sandman video, when I first saw it and I was watching it, and I was just, I know that they cut it up so that you could only see the part that looked like the kid was being a dink.
Yeah.
But even then, I was watching it and I was like, is the kid the one being a dink? The other guy just went up and got in his face.
Well, they didn't even show
and
that.
He just stood there. Like, why? What about that is him being a dink?
They just showed that, like,
a grown man versus a older child.
They showed that, like, that freaking cocky grin he had on his face, and it drove everyone nuts.
And well, didn't he? He had a Trump hat on.
Yeah, well, that's he's wearing the red hat.
So he was obviously,
and he had this like cocky smile. And like you get back, he has a cocky smile because the guy's in his face. He's just sitting there like, what the hell you want him to do? Like, you want him to punch him? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's true, Dan. There was a I think maybe NBC. I think it was NBC that they had somebody. They had somebody that was assigned.
Who was that?
By the way, that whole network should be taken to court for this. But they had a reporter that was assigned to, like, go follow the bus that the jurors were on and figure out, where they were heading. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I want to make sure we get that right, because whoever was following that juror bus really got themselves in some shit. Did you watch the video?
I don't think I saw the video.
MSNBC banned. It was MSNBC. And they were out of New York City.
Right, yeah, they got booted from the trial.
So there's there's police footage, police cam footage there of the cop going up and saying, like, "Hey, who the hell are you?" And the guy's like, "I'm from MSNBC. My boss told me to follow the jury bus." He's like, "What the hell? You can't follow the jury bus? Like, what's wrong with you?" And the guy's like, "Well, my boss said I could." And he's like, "Get your boss on the phone."
yeah.
And he talks to her on the phone, dude. He's
that's
like,
crazy.
He's like,
I'm gonna have to see this video. I didn't see this video.
And the lady's like, "Well, we were just trying to, see." And he's like, "Yeah, it was not good.
You're not allowed to see." So yeah, I would say two things about that. One is, don't do that. don't try to, like, follow jurors. That's undermining our justice system. That's not good.
And you could get them killed.
The other
seriously. You can get these people killed.
And the other thing I would say about that is, don't answer questions. Why are you just, like, as soon as you get pulled over, you just tell the police everything? Like, you're not required to assist their investigation. Shut the hell up. Like don't do bad things, but for crying out loud, let your lawyer talk to them. Or at least talk to your lawyer and find out what you should say, which is nothing.
That says a lot about how good of a job they were doing protecting them, that somebody on that bus noticed they were being followed.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah, impressive. So, well, hey, all I got to know is if people would just put on the news, it would be just way better. I pick on every news channel. They're all the same. Everyone's got their own little ploys of trying to get a message across. So
I like the ones that at least show opposing viewpoints.
there's not many that do that.
There aren't very many that do that, but
No.
at least, and so that's why mostly I read the news instead of watch it.
Talking about Joe Rogan, he has those two people on. They have their own news thing, and it's supposed to be the one's a Republican and the other's a Democrat. And I can't remember their names. And they're
like both coming up, or
no, I think they have their own news thing. I can't remember what it's called, but supposedly you're supposed to get a pretty unbiased review of things because it's two people that put out their points for each side, and like you decide. It's like I don't think they push a point really.
They used to have that on Fox News way back in the day. Do you remember that?
They still have something like that.
They used to have Hannity and Combs, and they'd always bias it toward Hannity. Like Hannity would just destroy Combs. It doesn't work as well as it should to be able to have that kind of thing. What I like is this. I get an email called The Flip Side. I know I've told you this, called The Flip Side, and they just pick one issue per day, and they send out an email with that one issue per day, and it has like a description of what that story is about and kind of like the main points, and then it takes different news sources and it quotes like different reporters from the left and from the right, and sometimes even gets a libertarian take if there's one available. that adds to the conversation, which isn't always the case, but unfortunately, just because there aren't as many libertarians in the media as there are Democrats and Republicans. So, but it's called The Flip Side. It's a pretty interesting little news source. Yes, exactly. Combs was just there to be a punching bag.
Oh God. It's like the more you're around this stuff, the more crazy it is. The whole like Cuomo thing, Chris Cuomo there, like everyone's just pretending like, oh, we didn't know he was like that, when they all heard and they all like separate themselves. Like no one knew Chris was doing stuff like that. And there's like comes up like they did know because they actually started doing an internal investigation on him, and then just we'll just leave that alone.
Yep.
Yeah. It's pretty.
They're lying about lying.
Yeah. It's so weird. I don't understand. You know what I've learned having any position of power at all? It's just way better to be transparent and honest than it is anything else. Like, don't sweep anything. Like, just be transparent. That's all people want is transparency.
It's not all they want.
That's a major.
It's a big thing though,
and not in just
because you can't get to anything else mattering if you're not transparent.
And not just in life. Your significant other wants transparency. People want they want to know. They want you to be honest. I mean, it's what people want. There's no sense of just. The only thing you're doing is making it worse. Yeah, it's crazy. So
I agree. I agree entirely. But and there are a lot of other things that people do want, but you can't get to where any of those things matter,
right?
Until you get past just being honest and transparent.
It's dead and gone. There's not much of that anymore.
That's why we have it's rare.
Do you think people were more honest and transparent back in the day?
Some rare transparency here.
Or were they better at hiding it? Or because there wasn't as much to find?
Well, the thing is, like back then, you had an hour of news. Now we've got multiple networks doing 24 hours of news. But even if you look at the local news channels now, there might be a little bit of, certain agendas that are in there, like mixed in, but you get 30 to 60 minutes of news at 6 and 11 or, whatever it is. And they talk about things that there was a car accident at the corner of 4th and Elm and whatever. here's what the weather is for the next week. Like those kinds of things.
Your local news.
The local news.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yes.
local news is far superior to the mass media
Right.
and the mainstream media. And we should really be, I don't know. I saw, and I don't want to go into too many details just because of what my response was to this news story that was reported by a local newspaper, not a Penn Yan newspaper, but a local-ish newspaper. They were talking about a famous person who died by suicide recently. And like I said, not going to go into all the details, but man, they wrote a whole thing about it. And back in the 90s, there was a big spike in suicides. I don't know if you know this. Back in the 90s, there was a big spike in suicides, and what was going on, they found statistics that within, I believe, 13 days, fact check me on that by all means, within 13 days after a nationally reported celebrity suicide, that suicide rates spiked.
Really? Okay, that's interesting.
So every time, so they were all these celebrities that were dying by suicide, and then like suicide rates were going up during that like week and a half, 2 week period following, and it's the media contagion effect. So when I look at what happened was the media figured that out. They figured out that was happening, or maybe researchers figured out that was happening and kind of brought it to their attention. And so what they did is they changed the way that they reported on suicide to make it so that it was less, like they gave all sorts of attention to the people who'd committed or who'd died by suicide rather. And they like focused on them as celebrities, or all sorts of things that they pointed out, and they really spent a lot of time reporting on the suicides. And so after they figured out that this was a media contagion issue, they really kind of changed the way that they did that and reported a lot less on it, and a lot less details, especially focused more on, I think, statistics and things like that. And I think that I'm not sure exactly what the solution is here with some of the things going on now, but I think that we are experiencing I think that media contagion effect goes way beyond suicide. And what I mean by that is, and
well, they've tried to say it with mass shooters too,
well,
like the glorifying of that, they thought,
yes,
caused more.
And that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Is mass murders with guns.
Right.
Which are essentially very public suicides. I mean, that's really, that's really what they've been, is for the most part very public suicides.
And that's a tough one,
where they just take people with them. It is
what to report on.
But if they change the way, I know the thing is, if you see if 10 people get shot, that is something that's of national interest. If 10 people get murdered by any means, that's of national interest.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that they're reporting every situation where that happens. I know arson is the most effective mass murder. I don't know if that's kind of cringy language around when you talk about these things, but
yeah,
when you see these nationally reported mass murders, there's an increase in mass murders following that. So I'd really like to see the way that all of those kind of killings are reported.
Yeah.
Because I think that could have an impact on reducing those numbers.
Be interesting. I think that's a tough one to cover. Like, because people want all the information. Who's this guy? Where is he from? Why'd he do it?
Yeah.
Like, who's his parents? Like, what type of person does this? Because everyone wants to. I think the problem is most people don't understand how someone can do that. So you want to know, like,
Right.
what the hell's wrong with this person? And then,
But I don't want people to get this. I don't like
as soon as
people
you
want to think that, but I don't really want people to get inside that head and say, "Oh, well, I kind of feel like that," you know?
right, and that's
Like,
what I think happens. The news stations try to say like, "Oh, this is him. This is like how it happened. This is why it happened." And then it's like, oh, then it feels like he's being glorified.
right.
Because they'll be like, "Oh, he's a monster" or something. But then they'll go, this is the most people ever killed in a mass shooting," and somebody's like, "Oh, well, I got something to shoot for," and it's like,
Yeah.
that's not right. That's I don't
I
think
think.
so.
Do do you think it would help if? I know people want to know those kinds of things, but you look at how the national media reports these things, and they make it very sensational. And I think if we could make it more academic, you could still get that kind of um, information to be able to figure out how to prevent that from happening, how to or reduce how often that happens, but without inspiring other people. I don't know. Maybe I know there are a lot of historical examples of mass murderers who maybe did research beyond what's in the New York Times
Yeah,
and CNN, but
it's all about dopamine, and as soon as you turn something into educational, you really do lose it. People,
yeah,
they want the ups and downs, and that's what the news tries to get people with.
yeah.
They want, because it just keeps you there. So
But maybe that's a solution then.
yeah,
Is just less dopamine stimulation and more. Here's just the facts,
yeah,
and
yeah, and then everyone wouldn't be watching the news. They would lose a
well,
lot of viewers.
for certain
That's what
things,
they're scared of.
for certain things that are potentially contagious,
Yeah.
just the facts. For other stuff, sure, go for it.
How do you do it? Just tell them or suggest to the news stations like, this is not good reporting.
I think that they have to agree to do it. I
Right.
think that we do have freedom of the press.
Right. You can't make a law on it.
You can't require them to report a certain way.
Right.
There are unions and stuff. Like, they're kind of like, for some of them, their internal workings can do that. But I think, I don't know. I don't know how you get them to do it. Maybe, I guess maybe the only thing you could do is if you can get really good, if you can do a study and find a way to show that the way that they're reporting is causing deaths.
Yeah.
And you can show it to them, and you can say, look, you should either change the way you're doing this, or I'm going to dance this across every screen I can, and I'm going to put it on Joe Rogan, who gets 20 times as many viewers as you.
Is that true? Does he outdo all the news channels? Just
Oh, yeah.
smashes them?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
It's 11 million on every episode. I think CNN is around like 700,000.
He did even
Prime
more
time.
when he was on YouTube.
Yeah.
It was like insane on YouTube.
Yeah. So if we say, you know what, this will be all over Joe Rogan, if you keep doing it the way you're doing it, like, you really should have within your industry, you should work on your standards and make sure that we get back to where we're having independent confirmation of our stories so that we don't get sued. And we should, change the way that we're reporting so that we're not contributing to contributing to the bad.
This is where the piece of me that's libertarian, like my left finger and pinky fingernail, comes in. Is we shouldn't. I don't think we should tell people what's right and what's wrong. Like, you go out and you do, like, you watch the news. You're supposed to. That's your job, is to figure out. Like, you can listen to the reporting and do what you want. I don't think we control that at all. Same thing with, like, here's the thing I saw you post about the books. Like, I don't like people just saying books are bad. Like, they're out there.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm telling you as a kid, if there was a section of books that's like, hey, you're not supposed to read these, like, reading those books. Yeah, it's
half the books I own are banned books.
Yeah, well, that's what when I was reading, I saw some of the books. Like, I was like, what the hell? Like, one of them was Harry Potter. They're banning Harry Potter.
Back when it first came out, there
hell?
was an uproar because from the right, there was an uproar because
Crazy.
there's witchcraft.
Oh,
it's not Christian.
Wow. Really?
Yes.
And
they were trying to get it banned from Walmart, I think. Like, they were trying to get Walmart not to sell it.
So you're not allowed to have fiction books? You're not allowed to have...
We can't have witchcraft because it might make people decide that they should practice witchcraft instead of Christianity.
Yeah, I thought when you read a lot of those books, a lot of those books were why you don't do certain things that were, that are being canceled. Catcher in the Rye, stuff like that.
Yeah,
like these books are like, well, these people sucked,
Right.
Yeah, it's like no one's reading them like, oh, that sounds awesome. Those were the days.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah, seriously.
Is
that book's messed up?
Was used. What?
That book, To Kill a Mockingbird?
What do you mean?
It's just like some of the stuff that happens in it. Some stuff that happens in Of Mice and Men.
But that's the
stuff
point.
That happens in.
But that's why you read it.
I know.
Is to say, wow, that's fucked up.
Like the whole that that Lenny thing in Of Mice and Men. Like still, like, yeah. I mean, I just remember that stuff as guys like, shit, that's wild, crazy to think about. Like, yeah, some of the things
that is a
in
crazy book.
Which one? What do you think's the worst out of like Catcher in the Rye, Kill a Mockingbird, Of Mice and Men? I was like, because those are the three that always stand out to me. As like a kid, I was reading. I was like, I don't know if I should be reading this in like 8th or 9th grade. I remember thinking that. I was like, this kind of. But now I'm like, oh, I'm glad I read those. They seem a little extreme.
Who decides what age is appropriate to? So it's like you can comprehend that stuff
right
at a younger age than when you actually read it in school. How do you who decides when is the appropriate time to read those things? I don't know.
My favorite was The Hobbit. I got to read The Hobbit in 9th grade. It was a good book.
I was never into the fantasy stuff.
No?
I did not. I know. I'm more of a you could tell. Like, I'm a nonfiction guy. You can tell I'm a nonfiction guy.
Oh, God. I always, if you can get a kid to read a book, you've won. Because, a lot of, I remember when our English teacher, he gave us like all these books and he did a good job and he'd like force us to, but at the same time, he knew what people's interests were.
Right.
Like he was really good. There was another one he made us read called Ender's Game, which I don't know if you've ever heard of it or not, but it's pretty, so like about fighting in space and stuff. It's a pretty cool book. Like things like that, it just, you can't get a bunch of, young athletes who think they're cool to read Catcher in the Rye, you know, on their own. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, you got to find something that's like, I don't know, get them into it, get them going. So
got to get them going.
Yeah. That's crazy to think. I haven't thought about a lot of this stuff in a long time. But the books. So what do you think? Who's banned them? Who banned the books?
Recently?
Like,
what do you mean?
Like on the,
that's happening right now.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, who is this? Schools? Is this like the Department of Education saying these books are no longer okay?
It's mostly boards of education right now. And some of them are, let's see. Some of them are outright like book bans where they're pulling them from libraries. And some of them are more that they're just getting taken out of curriculums, which is, it's a little bit different. I heard a good argument about why it was okay to remove certain books from curriculums. I still don't agree with it, but I agree that it's a fair point, which was that it is different to remove them from a curriculum than to remove them from a library, and that like there's a difference. So if you've got teachers who aren't properly equipped to teach certain materials
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to explain how it works and to say, hey, look, there's going to be some graphic language in this book. There's going to be some things that might make you feel uncomfortable. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. The reason that we're reading this is that this is a historical example of something that we don't want to have happen ever again. Like this is not the culture that we want. There are good people in this book, and there are examples of good behavior, and there are examples of bad behavior in this book.
Yeah,
and that's not. I think I don't know how the conversations are currently happening in schools, but I don't think that's what's happening. I could be wrong. Please, if you're a teacher or otherwise and have input on how that's going, let me know. And I'm not saying that that's not happening at all. I'm just saying that, like, I think there's a push toward removing things that are uncomfortable from curriculums and replacing it with things that are maybe a little bit more direct toward the point, so you don't have to really interpret To Kill a Mockingbird and know, oh yeah, okay, here's the good guys, here's what's happening.
Yeah, I don't know, but some of the best books are the ones that at the end you decide, like, what is the moral of the story. Like Ernest Hemingway, I think I told you, The Old Man and the Sea. He said there's no true you're welcome, Paul. No problem. There's no true meaning of the story. You decide. And it's like, I told you about what I thought about that story. It's like,
About which one?
Old Man
Man
in
in
the Sea.
Yeah,
Just like, there's a time to let go, and you fight the next day, and there's just like, and someone else could think of it as like, hey, perseverance helps you survive. Like, and I think that's cool, because that's a good essay to write.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, hey, what did this book make you feel? Yeah, there's nothing like reading an old history book and you're just like, it tells you what to think,
Right. Well,
so,
and even then, they don't always,
because they just give you enough. They just give you enough that this is the information.
Sometimes they don't give you enough.
Or yeah,
there are a lot of topics. I mean, think about the history books. Who decides what gets left in and what gets left out? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you can look at the history of the United States, and you can have two different books that are both 100% accurate, and one of them makes us look like the heroes of the earth, and one of them makes us look like just giant piles of trash, and both of them are totally accurate.
I've said the same thing about, and this is a hot take, this always drives people nuts, same thing about the Bible. There's no way I'm going to trust a piece of literature that's that old, and people were the church was so corrupt. I mean, we know it was corrupt, and we're going to trust literature passed down through. I've always thought, if you read as the 10 Commandments, or whatever, I'm not that up on my religion, but it just sounds like the greatest set of laws ever. Like,
so, yeah, I mean, it's a bunch of stories that,
and it just, like,
I think the stuff was kept, most of it was kept in to tell people how to act.
That's what I was thinking.
Most everything in the book is there to, like, it can be used as an example.
This is morally right. This is morally wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the best, and it's a great set of guidelines, and our laws are built off it. So, but at the end of the day, it's like, you're gonna take that as gospel. Like, there's no way.
It literally is gospel.
Yeah.
It literally is.
Like, there's no way that that I'm not against religion or anything like that. I'm not that type of person. I got Psalm 23 on my right bicep because it's a good psalm, and the thing is, but at the end of the day, are we really saying that book is the OG book? No.
Well, nobody's saying that.
But it's supposed to have been passed down from Jesus and the disciples and all that stuff, like
the Old Testament.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Old,
all these, like, are these everyone?
But there were books before that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all been messed with.
Yeah.
I
What was
guarantee
what's the Jewish one? The that was before the Old Testament,
I don't know why.
the Older Testament.
What's a haram? What's that one that I'm talking
I think
about?
that's
Is that the one I'm talking about or no?
No.
Oh, is that? Oh no, that's the Muslim book. Yeah, I don't know. Jesus. Yeah, I'm gonna have a holy war on our
the Torah. The
Torah.
Torah.
Oh,
yeah,
geez,
the
thanks,
Torah.
newbie.
All right,
I'm gonna get thrown
Hey.
into the
my good friend the passerby.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that story later.
Yeah. So I just so if you ever get back into the history of that in the UK, most of those books were in like Latin.
Yes.
And a lot of people didn't even know what the hell they said.
Correct.
You know,
the only people that could read it were the clergy,
right?
And like people that were high class
could speak Latin,
that could speak Latin and read Latin
even
and write
worse.
Latin. Yeah.
You ever seen Latin wrote? Oh my God, what a nightmare. Yeah.
So they could make it whatever they want. Let's just say, yeah, it's in there.
I took a semester of it, and I remember going like the first day. I'm like, I don't want to, because I was thinking, oh, there's a lot of Latin in like the law books and stuff. No way. It's like anyone who can do that it's like dead. It's a dead language.
Is it King John's Bible? What was the one that was the first one that the first one that was in English or that was translated to the popular language? I think it might have been King John's Bible.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah. But I mean, and we don't have to sit on religion. I know that's touchy for a lot of people, but
do you know that
it's just something that I've always thought about with these books.
I've got a family history of clergy.
Really?
Got some pretty interesting stuff. There's this guy. Let me see if I can.
What is the Scottish religion? Like, what is the main thing in Scotland? Do you know?
Scotland?
Yeah.
Episcopal. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe. So there's this guy. Let's see now. There's a guy. I'm trying to make sure this is the right person. Kermitshaw.
Reinsdorf.
It's Kermitshaw.
What a name.
Oh, Saxony. Not Saxony. Anyway,
the Saxons.
Yeah, this guy, right? No, not
the
Saxons. No, like in Germany. Yeah.
Yeah.
In Germany.
Well, they were the Franks, right? Weren't they?
So there's this church in Kermitshaw, Saxony, Germany. That is where my like some of my ancestors, there's a church still standing since like 1300s where my ancestors were some of the first Lutheran clergy.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And when they years later came over to the United States, it was when they came to the colonies, it was two brothers, and one of them was already a Lutheran minister, and the other one was the first Lutheran minister to be ordained in America. And like he's got a day on the calendar of saints for the Lutherans.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Sometime in November.
Huh.
And that his name was, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Justus. I don't know if it's Justice or Eustace or
Eustace.
I know I've heard Eustace.
Was he not? So he's not the Scottish side.
Justice Faulkner. No, German.
Okay.
Yep. And they were hired by William Penn, I believe, to sell off like 10 million acres of Pennsylvania. Eustace Faulkner, he wasn't even planning on being a minister. He was like working on other stuff. And I believe Daniel, his brother, convinced him to get ordained because they just needed people. And he ended up being like Philadelphia, Trenton, New York City, maybe even like over into Albany, and like brought Lutheranism into all that area. He brought the first organ, like piano organ, into kind of like upper New York. I'm not sure all the details exactly, but kind of interesting stuff that I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a topic. If you wanna heat some people up, that's a topic to bring up at you know around some religious family. It'll get hot in a hurry.
You think so?
Oh, I've done it multiple times. I mean, some people are good and like they understand, and I've actually had some people say they know it's not like the OG, but
Oh, you mean like whether or not it's all true?
yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I just talk about the history
yeah.
more than I don't really talk about. I don't evaluate religions whether they're true or not.
See, and that's not what it is. Because again, I'm not against it. It's just without knowing what we know now and the way history's altered, you can't believe a lot of times. My friend Brian Yarrington that you met, he's a teacher at Dundee, history teacher. He's a great guy. We'll get him on someday. So
Yeah.
um I asked him like, do you think that's true? What's in that history book? He's like, no, not always. He's like, but we teach the curriculum, we
Yeah.
teach what we think is true. And he's like, well, what can you do? He's like,
This
I mean,
is
no one really knows,
this is this is
so yeah.
why school boards matter so much. And that's why, I encourage people to get involved with their public education is they can decide, especially at the state level in New York, what gets taught. And what gets taught matters as much as how it gets taught. And there's a lot of stuff that gets left out. And you have to pick because you can't teach, however many years. Can't teach 250 years, let
Yeah.
alone anything beyond that in all its detail. You have to pick what goes in and what goes out.
I feel like they touch pretty well on the things that you should know.
Well, you think that.
Yeah, maybe there's parts, and maybe it's because everyone was taught the same stuff, so we all just know that. But it's just like I feel like,
but the
you're
way
taught
it's
some pretty-
framed, really, there's a lot of stuff that wasn't taught until recently.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff that wasn't even researched until recently. And we talk about this with, I'm a concussion guy. So concussion research, just like as a different example, because that's what I know about more, is up until like not that long ago. And I mean, in the past few decades, most doctors didn't even think that women could get concussions from unless it was in a car accident, because they didn't think that they were physical enough to be able to get a concussion. Almost all research on concussions started in soldiers. And then it moved on to football and boxing and then, like I said, it wasn't until very recently, and there's organizations even still now trying to press researchers to include gender and to make sure that women are included in the studies and that their statistics are reported kind of separately so that you can see, okay, here's how this impacts, because it's different for men and women.
Yeah.
For male and female. So
I don't know why was there. I guess there wasn't as many female sports, but I mean,
there weren't any.
You watch a set of these girls, like some of these girls that box, they freaking thump each other, man.
Oh yeah,
like you wouldn't want to get punched by them. Like
I saw a video last night, some lady roundhouse kicking some other lady in the head,
dude,
and just she was out before she hit the mat.
Yeah, I remember Ronda Rousey in her prime, watching her do MMA. Like the most average guys on the street, she would have whooped their ass.
Yeah.
Like no doubt in my mind. Like
yeah,
like
for sure.
Like without any training, she would hurt people. That's why it's funny that people think like that. I don't know. So
hey, the other before we wrap up, one thing that I know I talk about annually, and I'd like to have it change, and with a little bit different framing today though, is did you notice on Main Street and all around that the snow is piled up like 3 feet high all along the curb?
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got parking along the curb.
Mm-hmm.
So how the hell do you get from your car onto the sidewalk?
Well, luckily the driver's side's on the.
Well,
so
yeah.
for the poor passenger, I usually pull up, let Mary out, and then park the car. But yeah, it's kind of hard.
So we've had this push that is getting stronger for this to be a year-round destination.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it certainly can be. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff going on year-round here, including the 18th Amendment opened up this weekend and was awesome. And also, by the way, they won the chili cook-off for the first Friday of February, so that's
Oh, that's
exciting.
awesome.
Yeah, I got to go taste it. It was pretty banging.
To win must have been pretty damn good.
Yeah. So what I would say about this is two things that I just want to touch on as far as making this a place. We've got a lot of different kinds of people in our population. I'm pretty physically able to do what I need to do, and I can get through 3 feet of snow if I need to. But uh, a lot of the people that live around here are older,
Mm-hmm.
or have kids, or have a disability, or whatever. They can't get over 3 feet of snow. They're gonna get hurt. And so, just two things about that. One is the curb cuts. People don't think of shoveling out the curb cut
Mm-hmm.
when they shovel, if they shovel. I know we've got a couple of areas in town where shoveling's not happening, and that bothers me. But
It's supposed to be the code enforcement officer comes in and
well,
nails them.
Or maybe we just need to go talk to those places, especially the businesses, which is, it's not our local businesses, by the way, that I'm talking about, but go in and say, hey, look, we're trying to make this accessible, so we need you to do your part. But people can't get around if you don't shovel the curb cuts too, especially here where there might be 3 foot of snow along the curb. Well, if it's the same way where the curb cut is, like, it doesn't work, right? So please just do that. Make sure you just think about that.
It's time for heated concrete sidewalks.
How cool would that be?
I mean, it'd be super expensive, but I'll tell you, you never have to worry about it.
And then the other thing that I would really love to see, that we've got this rule. I've lived in towns where they had a snow emergency rule. Do you know about this?
No.
So, like, basically the way a snow emergency works is, if it's snowing enough where the plows are going to have to come out, they declare a snow emergency. There's no parking on the street until the snow emergency is over. And that gives the plows time enough to go clean up the streets.
Right.
Without cars parked all over that they have to, like, go around and then leave snow behind and all that. So then you've got...
Well, they usually make everyone park on one side of the street a lot of times.
Some places do that too. Yeah.
So they can get
alternate
one
side parking,
and then
yes.
the next day they'll get the next side.
Yep, that's a thing too. I don't really think that we need to go to alternate side parking, because we're not that big of a spot. Like, we're not that big of a town. But currently in Penyan, there's no parking between like midnight and 5 or 6 in the morning.
Is that
on the
enforced?
street? It is.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
It's enforced with like a $10 fine. So
It's something.
you can't park on the street overnight, anytime, whether it's snowing or not.
I didn't know that.
Overnight between like November and April. So two things I'd like to see. One is, I'd like to see us get rid of that stupid rule that you can't park on the street anytime between November and April. Because if the weather is perfect and the streets are dry, there's no reason that you can't park there. I think that we should be allowed to do that. Make it so there's a snow emergency, so that if it's snowing, now you can't park on the street. Fair. Like, that way it's at least about the thing that it's about. It's about snow removal, right? And then actually remove the snow. So instead of piling it up 3 feet tall on the curb, plow it from the curb to the center of the road. That opens up, the side of the street for people to be able to drive if they have to. And then take your snowblower and your tractor that we're trying to remove snow with already, and just blow it into the back of the truck. And now the snow gets dumped, down at the boat launch or wherever.
I know nothing about plowing, so I don't know if it's doable or not.
I know it's doable because I lived for 5 years someplace where that's how they do it.
Yeah, there you go.
They plow it to the center, so now it's not piled on the curb. You can still have your lanes open to drive down. You can't park there because that's where the lane is until the snow emergency is over and all the snow is gone.
Interesting. Well,
So that's my theory.
There's a new mayor, Phil. You can definitely throw it to him. Toss him the idea.
I've tossed that idea a couple times. I think I might just put it in writing.
Yeah. There is a new mayor. But everyone in Penn, a lot of people don't know in Penn. I'm shocked to know.
There's not a new mayor.
Isn't there? Yeah.
No, there's not a new mayor.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because there's not a new mayor. There's an election coming up in March where there's 2 people running for mayor.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he won the primary thing, right? Because that's what
There's no primary.
What the heck was I? What the heck was I reading?
I don't know what you're reading, but there's not a new mayor. But there's another candidate. There's 2 candidates for mayor who got enough signatures to be on the ballot.
Maybe that's what it was.
And
maybe there's another guy.
I think there's about running. 7 for trustee with 3 seats open.
Geez, why the heck was I reading that?
Yeah, so there's not a new mayor, but to either candidate, I would propose that we consider making the law about what it's about rather than just making sure that people can't park on the streets overnight, even if it's fine, that we make it so that people can't park on the streets overnight if it's snowing, and then we actually get the snow out of there.
Right.
So because I think that would make, if we could just remove the snow, it would make it so much easier for people to use, especially the downtown area. I'm not saying to do that on every street, but at least kind of the wide main streets where that's where people are doing business.
So Lee McKercher's the mayor now.
Yes.
Who's running against him?
So Lee is running again, and Dan Candela is running against him.
Dan Candela is running against him. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Dan is currently the deputy mayor. Or yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So they're both running.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. I was way off. So. Yeah, it's pretty deep.
There is quite a bit of snow. Yeah, so anyway, I don't know. I think it would be, yep, and Boston is another good example.
Yeah.
I mean, Boston's obviously a different situation from us. The town that I lived in Minnesota was not all that much different from Penn Yan, and that was the way they did it. They had a snow emergency. They, on the main streets where commerce is happening, especially, those are areas where the snow just gets removed, and they plow from the sides in instead of piling it up on the curb. And I think we could make it so that Penn Yan is more elderly friendly. It's more friendly for people with disabilities. It's more friendly for people with kids, that they don't have to climb over a 3-foot tall snowbank to get from their car to the business they're trying to patronize. And I think anything we can do to remove those barriers, it might make it so that this is a place where people feel like they can go in the wintertime.
That's crazy that I don't think Penn Yan ever knew it was going to be like it is now. Just there's nowhere to park on a Saturday night. It's insane. Like you never would have guessed like
that it would be
this crazy. Crazy. It's wild. There's so many places to go, so many new things. People want to be here. Like there's no more parking.
I checked out. So I checked out the 18th Amendment. I had the burger because I think you can judge a restaurant by their burger. I think that's fair. It's a banging burger. It's a great burger. With Blue Yonder and blackened onions on it and grape tomatoes, whatever. I don't know. It was pretty good.
Nice.
I saw some of the other stuff that was coming out of the kitchen, and it was like that. I'll definitely be back for some of that stuff.
I saw pictures. Look good.
It looked really good. So, that's exciting. I checked out Baked and Loaded, which is out back,
Such a cool idea. I love it.
and I think they'll keep on working on expanding their board game selection.
I know people love the food. I Baked and Loaded. I heard a lot of people were just like, "It's a cool idea, man.
Yeah.
That's something that you just don't find in a small town like this."
I've heard a lot of people that think that'll be the place to go for like date night. Go play some games.
Baked and Loaded, really
Get baked and loaded.
cool.
I know a lot of people think that with the recent opt-in vote that it's got something to do with cannabis. It's not. It's potatoes.
Yeah,
So
just potatoes.
mac and cheese
Baked
and stuff like
potatoes.
that.
They're not even serving alcohol.
I got
are
some
they?
chicken tenders. They've got beer.
Oh, they do. Okay.
It's all like cans and bottles. You
Cool.
can get a couple
Awesome.
bottles of beer, and they've still got the jail cell from when it was a police station. So you can
Right. I've seen people taking
can
pictures in the jail cell.
go
and
into
stuff.
the jail cell.
Yeah.
They've got it's a definitely a jail theme. They got a lot of which the mug shots and stuff like that. I saw the mayor and the chief of police were down there on opening day.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Jeez. Yeah.
But-
So, talking about the mayor and getting that wrong. Have you? So you've sent this idea to the mayor of Penn with the snow?
No. I've talked to some other people that are on the board about it, but I think it just needs to be written up, and it doesn't even really need to be it doesn't really need to be a change, other than maybe I do think that we should change the overnight parking ordinance. I really do think that. I know a lot of people will disagree with me. Maybe it's simpler to have it so you can never park there at night, but to me, it doesn't make sense not to let people park there when the weather's bad, and I think I don't know how much it leads to things like people like driving while intoxicated. I don't know if it leads to that or not, but I think
Might
that
have something to
if
do
you're
with it.
parked on the street and then you go have a couple drinks and it turns into more than a couple drinks, then you're like, oh, well, I've got to move my car anyway. I don't know. Maybe that's a stupid thought, but
I don't think it is.
I think anything to make that less that, oh, you know what? I know you're parked on the street, but why don't you just ride home with me tonight? Like, it just makes it a little bit easier to do that.
I got nailed for that in Canandaigua. Left my car in a parking spot and came back to $25 parking ticket. Went and like, hey guys, I had too much to drink and had no one to move my car, so I did the responsible thing and and got a ride home. And they're like, oh well,
right.
pass.
I don't know, it just feels
It's just like
it feels wrong to
dirtbags.
penalize somebody for
Yeah,
not
yeah.
drinking and driving.
Yeah.
Um,
Then they'll be like, oh, it's your job to make sure you have a place to park your car. Probably, that's how
Sure,
they are.
yeah.
They're just like,
it's true,
Yeah.
and like, so I'm not making any excuse for anybody, but I just want to make things so it's easier, simpler for people to do the right thing. So I don't know. I just think if it's not snowing, that is one thing that would need to be a change of ordinance to say that we're going to have snow emergencies. That would be a pretty significant policy change.
Yeah.
But changing the way the snow removal is done, I don't think would have to be a policy change. I think that would have to be a training change. They'd just have to train the staff to be able to do it that way.
It's time for you to run for town board.
No. But thanks.
Then you can really push your ideas.
I could do that.
Yeah, if you got on the town board, they can't get away from your ideas.
They can't get away from me anyway.
Yeah, but they really can't get away from you if you're on the board. It's impossible.
That's true. I think that what I'll do is I'll start maybe putting some of this stuff in writing as my other duties lighten up, and we'll see what happens.
What do you think of the other guy running for mayor? Dan.
Oh, I don't want to
Do you know him? I've never.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to talk about local candidates.
Oh, you don't like doing that? Okay.
No, I mean, we can. I'm happy to have local candidates on the show if they want to come talk about what they're up to. But I don't know. I don't really want to get too deep into what's going on with local candidates because whoever wins, I expect to be working with on things.
Right.
So I don't think that anybody's a terrible choice, but I don't really want to get into it.
Okay, fair. Well, I think that's a good stopping point then.
Okay, everybody, send me ideas for exciting things to do in the wintertime when it's just shitty out. What is that? Okay.
Who's there? It's Rahr. Who's there? It's Rahr. Come fill your time, this pod's for all. From the Finger Lakes, join in the call. Learn something new about the Cuca Trail, upstate New York, every episode a tell. Who's there? It's Rahr. Who's there? It's Rahr. It's Rahr.